I'll call the meeting to order. I'll introduce myself as Mayor Judy Brown, if anyone out there can't read. Okay, so my motion to adopt the agenda, Councillor Waterfield.
Yes, Mayor Brown. Be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Perth adopt agenda for January 27th, 2026 council meeting as presented.
Thank you. Those in favor? Okay, that's unanimous. The land acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the traditional home of various Indigenous peoples. As we work towards reconciliation, may we all live with respect on this land and live in peace and friendship with all its diverse peoples. Is there anyone who wants to declare a pecuniary interest? Okay, so I'm sorry. We're gonna have to wait. Okay, okay. Adoption of the minutes, Councillor Bird.
Thank you, Your Worship. Moved by myself and seconded by the Deputy Mayor. Be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Perth adopt the minutes of the 9th of December 2025 regular council meeting.
Thank you. Those in favor? Thank you. We have no delegations scheduled. But we do have a presentation on something that the topic is fairly high on our minds. If you could go ahead, Grant.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm here tonight just because of the hot topic, I would say, with the weather that we've received lately. As elected officials, I'm sure you've been getting calls about levels of service. I know at our staff downstairs receive a lot of calls during and post event. So I'm here tonight just to reiterate what we do, but also to recognize my field staff, environmental services, what a great job they're doing, and just be transparent on what service we are providing. You'll see a lot of repetition from my annual song and dance, but I just want to go over some of the changes that we've had, Michael. So I will just talk about legislation, the minimum maintenance standards, and what our general practices are, what we do and where we are, and essentially how we do the work. Some of the challenges that come and go with trying to perform winter control, and then just an update on our financial impacts. So under our general roads operations are under the minimum maintenance standards through the Municipal Act. This lays out the general levels of service for much of our environmental services operations, but predominantly in the winter, how and what we do for minimum maintenance. And so it also protects us as a municipality and as operators, essentially tells us what to do. And then when it comes to liability, in my case, when I have to appear for discovery in legal cases, I can refer back to our record keeping and the minimum maintenance standards. I would point out the minimum, it's aptly named minimum maintenance standards. It's the minimum of what you should do. And I would suggest to you as elected officials, if we abided by that letter of that your phone would be ringing off the hook. And the key component of that is responding at the end of the event. And if we waited till the end of the event when snow was stopped falling, essentially we wouldn't have plowed this week so far. So I would say that our staff is on the operations, and I'll talk to you how we do that. And all our streets are based on classifications 1 through 6, and our class of roads start at level 3. So as far as legislative, and now I'm talking about best practices, we are monitoring weather all the time. And our staff, which I'll talk about in the end, we have stopped sort of listening to the television and the radio because it's somewhat sensationalized. What we do is subscribe to a very detailed meteorological service that is particular to Perth. It's under the County of Lanark's umbrella, but all the information that pertains to weather is focused on Perth. And also we focus on preventing any snow events as much as we can by getting out ahead of the snow or ice event. Our staff is very dynamic. Some other municipalities, you may have truck operators, you may have loader operators, you may have sidewalk. We intermix all the staff. So fortunately, all our staff can jump in any piece of equipment. So we may run one sidewalk plow or two. We might run one large blower, maybe two. And what we do focus on is production. So it may not look pretty right out of the gate, but our focus is getting through as many streets as possible. And so there's guaranteed passage. Right, Michael? So again, we have 98 kilometers of roads. That's lane kilometers. Of course, those are every lane on, say, Wilson Street that's 4 lane kilometers. Sidewalks, we have 45 kilometers and we have 8 parking lots. What we focus on are what we call mains. I have a map on the next slide, but our mains are to guarantee that the public, not only in Perth, but outside Perth, has the ability to get into and through Perth as safely as possible. And those are usually interconnected to provincial highways or county highways. Then we move into a hierarchy of priorities. We focus on downtown, just so businesses can operate in the morning when they arrive. I have an asterisk on schools and churches, and I'll talk about that. The hospital, the employment centers like our factories in big central areas where people are getting together in the morning. And then our parking areas. Of course, it's very distracting. If you come to work, you get to work, the street's clear, but you have no place to park. So we always keep that in mind, or it's almost concurrent as we plow the roads. And then we move on to secondary areas. And then the last areas are our subdivisions and our dead ends or cul-de-sacs. The reason I have the asterisks at school and churches, my staff generally has younger families at home, so they know what a snow day is all about. So if schools are not open, we tend to avoid them and keep going around them. If it is a church morning, we make a focus to make sure people can get to the churches. So there is a bit of subjectivity to how we respond to winter events in those particular areas. All right. This is a general map. The pink areas are our through streets, are our mains. This is just I did it off the cuff. This is what staff mark up. We carry highlighters. We have GPS tracking devices in the equipment, very technical, but I want to show how simplistic this can be. We take these maps, every vehicle has it, and they can go and highlight where they've been and what they've done. It's trying to avoid missing areas or trying to go back. It's an essential tool when it comes to liability. When I have to appear with lawyers, what activity has been done and when. So the 3 major processes we do is the pre, during, and post. So we call it surface treatment, and that's where you see sand or salt going out on the road. So if a condition like today, where there's no snow actively falling, we'll be out salting. And what that does is stop the bonding of snow or ice to the asphalt surface or the concrete. So as long as we have bare surface, we can pre-treat, and we use that pre-treated salt that you've heard me talk about in the past. It's essentially got a brine filament on the salt crystals, so it acts quicker. So as the snow starts to fall, we just stop applying aggregate or salt to the road, and we start focusing on plowing. We use 2 large payloaders with wings. We have 2 sidewalk plows, and we have a salt truck with a belly plow. So essentially 5 pieces of equipment. And as we get the areas plowed back in a situation like we have right now, we'll move into snow removal. So we attach the blowers to the equipment and we start loading trucks. And Michael, go to the next slide. So the way environmental services works is our staff are not designated to a particular work area, but they're commingled. So each area, predominantly water and sewer and roads, are 2 lead hands, and they get to pick their team essentially for a duration. So if you're looking at core group for winter control, you have the lead hand, you have 2 operators, which are essentially running the payloaders, and then the sidewalk plow operator. And what you're left is the 3 remaining staff. And so those people are key to water samples, cleaning out snow around crosswalks, doing pump stations, those various normal operations that we have to keep going. And we also have our lead hand of fleet, who is very dynamic. Not only can he fix all the equipment he has, but he also is a great operator, so he can come in and help us as well. So where I'm going, Michael, on the next slide, is as we migrate to winter removal at night, when we do the nighttime activities, there is nobody left to do daytime activities short of the 2 staff and our fleet mechanic. So it's very important that we look ahead to what has to be achieved, i.e. snow removal, because we can't afford to have snow coming on the ground, because as these 5 operators are sleeping and trying to catch up after a 12 or 14-hour day, I can't also have them on the street plowing. So the remaining 2 staff then, if you want to say, keep the wolves at bay by pushing back the snow and keeping things. So it's important that we fold the staff into a nighttime rotation. You can imagine you don't want to work all day, go home for a few hours, and then work another 12-hour shift. So it's very important that we stage staff to do that. The other component of street work is there's hours of service legislation. So staff, not only from practical sense, but legislatively have to have rest periods. So we don't want to roll them any longer than they have to. Okay. So this is tracking that we do behind the scenes. When media talks about the amount of snow that we're having, or you're having a chat with your friend, I can't believe I haven't seen snow like that in years. Here's the chart that is Perthized. And you can see on the right side that we received 157 centimeters of snow. And just for reference, behind Councillor Bolt, there's a piece of tape on the thermometer. I thought, just for fun, that's how much snow we've received this fall. So
Oh,
not only is it numeric on the screen, but it's approximately 5 feet of snow just behind you, Councillor Bolt.
okay.
So you remember last year, we had just over 2 meters of snow after Christmas. So what we do is we have a line in that graph just showing up to December and then after December.
Mhm.
So you can see we're online for getting close to last year's numbers, but those are the 2 measurements in centimeters of snow that's hit since October. So the challenges I just want to highlight to council and the public is we work through the minimum maintenance standards, but sometimes we have service creep from the community. Sort of the more we do, the more we're asked to do as far as winter control. So we continue to focus on main routes and keeping everybody safe as a priority. Sometimes the expectations of the public are much beyond what we're able to provide, either from a staffing level, a financial level, or equipment level. When a snow event is of extended duration, staff working those hours have to back off. So it's important that we always look at the end game and then work backwards to how we're going to achieve it as far as staffing levels. The other part is on-street parking. We have a prohibition for winter parking for anybody parking from 1 a.m. until 6. We've seen some violations of that, and you'll see in the morning where the plow has gone around. Now, we work with bylaw directly, and if our field staff start to notice a trend when the street's nice and clear, we have them go out and just do a spot check, and we handed out 2 rounds of warnings, and then we started ticketing. So we have about, just in Perth for context, about 5 offenders that feel that the cost of parking on the street is the cost of doing business overnight. It's unfortunate because we're left with a snowbank on the street that tends to freeze and be hard to look after. Go back, Michael. Light snow is also an issue, whether it's 2 centimeters or 10 centimeters, it takes the same amount of effort. So it's hard to sort of pre-plow, so we have to wait till it hits the ground. Another component is contractors clearing driveways, pushing snow out of the driveway into the boulevard, or pushing it right across the street, in some cases onto their neighbor's yard. That's also a challenge for us. And multiple snow events. Martin was talking to me today. He said it feels like it hasn't stopped snowing for 5 days. It's not a lot, but every time you look out, there's another wave on the radar that's coming through and that they have to address. And then just in closing, all our other obligations just to keep the municipality going. We can't just arbitrarily switch all staff to just plowing snow. There's so many other components that we have to keep going as regular operations. Right, Michael? And this is just a last sort of financial summary. This is an extraction from the 2026 budget. The chemical supplies in general cost us approximately 66 to 70,000. What we see predominantly for that is you reduce the amount of snow, we tend to have more ice events, so it's more salt and sand that's required. The snow delivery component, or external delivery, that's paying for the plow trucks or the dump trucks that take away the snow. Generally, every snow event takes 9 dump trucks. We load trucks in about 90 seconds. So we pull all that material to the center of the road. You see a bit of a photo there, but we We try to do 3 nights in a row. When you switch staff to that nighttime activity, it's very important that they stay on there. So each night is approximately $8,000 in out-of-pocket cost for us. That's not including our own equipment and our own staff. That's just rental fees for trucks and one additional loader that assists us. So every event, we call it, tends to be a 3-night event. That's $24,000. So we have a partnership with the County of Lanark. We don't have our old salt sand storage. We have it at the County of Lanark building, which has worked out really well for us. For context, what we use for the entire winter is what the County of Lanark uses in one snow event. So they're quite happy to provide a small corner for us, and we store both our sand and our salt there. We also share equipment, so we use our payloader to load their trucks and vice versa. It's very efficient. So again, this is very labor efficient, or intensive rather, for staff. It's costly, and especially when we do our best to predict weather events and it goes into more overtime. That's the challenge, is not financially compensating staff, but they also have a family to respond to. And, you know, they don't have snow days in environmental services. You have to get to work. So I do, just in closing, just want to applaud our field staff. They're doing what I feel is a very amazing job. It's it's well documented, and I think generally in the community it's well received.
Councillor Bolt.
Thank you, Your Worship. Well, Grant, I definitely agree with you that your staff are doing an amazing job, particularly this winter with the challenges that we've had. And you know, today's a perfect example. I mean, they worked their buns off with the last, what we get 17 or 20 centimeters, and Toronto got 56. And the bottom line is that you just nicely get that, you know, cleaned up. And today we got just enough snow to make it really greasy out there. Now, you mentioned earlier about, you know, you don't like to salt unless the roads are bare. I noticed today they were salting, and I thought it made it really soupy, but I thought that was a good thing, because your tires were getting down to the pavement instead of it accumulating. My question, if I could, is pertaining to in the downtown core, icicles from properties. I know I spoke to you not long ago, and of course, everybody remembers the bad event we had with an icicle falling and killing a child many years ago. It is a real big problem, and I know it's not the town's problem insofar as those icicles are coming off the roofs of privately owned businesses. I think it was you that said to me, and I'm bringing this up so that anybody listening is aware of it, and I just want you to corroborate what I'm about to say. I think you said to me that for business owners that have an icicle concern, there are barricades available, that we don't set them up, but they are available free of charge. They just simply have to go and pick them up and set them up. And I just wanted your comment on that so that everybody's fully aware of that.
Through the chair, we assemble approximately 30 barricades that are red in color. They're not our normal orange. They're red in color, and they're stenciled overhead danger. We position those in the fall at Crystal Palace in a set area, and we work with the BIA to advertise within their membership to come and get them. Unfortunately, through attrition, they disappear each year. They come down, so we keep replacing them. Sort of 15 to 20% disappear every year. They just seem to disappear. So, but we keep that inventory at our shop, and then we bring it back in the fall and promote it to the BIA.
Thank you.
And anyone else? Councillor Bird.
Thank you, Worship. If I may, through the chair, possibly a difficult question to answer, but it's more potentially raising alarms that have been, and flags that have been raised before when you've presented in the past. From what you've presented, I feel we're on the sharp end of this, of physical operations. We're stretched. And if our population goes up, that's not a corollary because of higher density and all the rest of it, but we've got 2 expanding subdivisions and possibly north of 7. At what point do you come to us and say, we've gone up from our 98 kilometers of roads to 100 and something, and that we cannot continue with this model to be efficient. Are we there, or are we getting close to being there?
So through the chair, that question comes through the development charges process. It equates the metrics of how a municipality operates. So how many kilometers do you have per snowplow? How many fire trucks do you have per capita? So at those points, there's triggers in the DCs to allow for more staffing and more equipment. So in a large event, we're approaching that, but operationally, bearing that overhead is not, we're not at that point where there's a risk to municipalities. I guess I'd also point out, when I just in closing as well, we interact with emergency services a lot. We work with the bus companies, we work with the paramedics, we work with the fire service. If they notice something, they'll let us know. And in the rebuttal, if we're not able to get an area, I'm guarantee I'm talking to Trevor and he's using his connections to let them know that we have a challenge and we can't get in there. But we keep the main areas open, so the public should never feel at risk that we've forgotten them. We've established that we can get emergency services to your door. It may not be pretty, but it's functional.
Anyone else? Just further on that topic, let's say whomever Perthmore starts construction, they've got a lot of the area built, but some of it's still pretty rough. We haven't assumed the road yet. Would you plow in that area?
Through the subdivision agreement, there's a special clause in there. Until we have assumed the road, we are not doing winter maintenance. What becomes the challenge is those people are property owners that are paying taxes, but we haven't assumed the roads. So we keep an eye on particular developers to make sure that they're doing their part to plow the road, even though it's not up to our municipal standard or that we've assumed it. But we will go in there and just ensure that people can get in and out safely with our own equipment.
Thank you. So if there's nothing else, thank you very much, sir. So the consent agenda is next. Does anyone wish to remove an item prior to? Oh, so I do, skip over it. Councillor Smith, oh, okay, you can't see. Councillor Bird, could you read the 7.1?
Yes, your worship. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Waterfield. Be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Perth receive for information the staff presentation winter maintenance service level overview.
Thank you. Those in favor? Unanimous, thank you. Okay, the consent agenda. Does anyone wish to remove anything from the consent agenda? No, okay. So those in favor of the items consent agenda? Thank you, that's unanimous.
Your worship,
Yes.
I just wanted to let you know that once again, I have no agenda on my screen.
Yes,
All I have is pictures, so I don't know what I'm supposed to say if you call it out.
we just are going to have Councillor Bird read your motions because you can't see them.
All right, thank you.
Councillor Waterfield, 10.1.
Be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Perth, 1, approve zoning bylaw amendment number ZBL-06-2025. 2, require that the developer pay $5,000 per parking space in lieu of parking for 4 spaces. And 3, pass bylaw number 3358-139, being a bylaw to further amend zoning bylaw number 3358 to change the zone category of lands municipally known as 64-72 Cockburn Street from residential 4th density 12 hold to residential 4th density special exemption, and to lift the hold as presented in report 2026 Cal 1.1.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on that? I'll call the question. Those in favor? That's unanimous.
I
Just looking at the agenda, I think we missed having Counselor Bolt read the motion for the consent agenda. I know you called for the
Yeah,
vote,
that's
but
true.
Jim didn't read
Thought I did
the,
that. Okay. Let's find it. Yes, Councillor Bolt, if you could.
Sure can, your worship. So consent agenda moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Isabella McCray. The following motions listed below in the consent agenda from the Committee of the Whole meeting on January 13th, 2026 be passed and numbered accordingly, and they're all listed there.
Thank you. Those in favor? Yeah. 10.1. 10.2, Councillor Bolt again.
Thank you, your worship. Moved by myself and seconded by Deputy Mayor Ed McPherson. Be it resolved, the Council of the Town of Perth authorize the Director of Community Services to submit a grant application to the Ontario Cultural Attractions Fund to an upset limit of $18,500 to assist in funding of the Stewart Park Festival in 2026, as presented in Report 2026 Cow-1.3.
Is there any discussion? Councillor Byrd.
Thank you, Your Worship. This is the item in which I will have to declare pecuniary interest. This particular grant application in relation to Stewart Park Music Festival. I am ex officio to the Stewart Park Festival Committee as an emergency planning officer and will not participate in the discussion or vote.
Thank you. So those in favor of those voting? That's unanimous. Bylaws. Deputy Mayor, 11.1.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Byrd. Be it resolved, the Council of the Town of Perth has read the following bylaws the first, second, and third time short, passed and signed by the mayor and clerk. Number 1, bylaw number 4586-6, amend municipal alcohol policy. Number 2, bylaw number 5245, agreement Colvoy Enterprises 2012, a limited supply of RPM 217T snow blower unit. Number 3, bylaw number 5246, agreement EGIS Canada Limited, design of tertiary road entrance and roadway Highway 7 to the Perthmore subdivision. Number 4, bylaw number 3358-139, amend the zoning bylaw number 3358-64-72, Cockburn Street from residential fourth density 12, hold to residential fourth density special exception R4-31.
Thank you. Any question or discussion? Councillor Bolt.
Yes, your worship, I just had a quick question, I guess, for Grant. The number 3 for Aegis for the design of the tertiary road entrance, I had somebody ask me the other day, that's the design. Do we know, oh, he's not here. Do we know when the actual, the question was, do we know when the actual construction of that particular entrance is going to take place?
through the chair, we're hoping that it takes place at the same time as MTO goes through with Highway 7 because of they'll be doing the realignment and the expansion and all that at the same time. So we tied in with that. That's not to say we might not start some of the base work in advance off Highway 7. So if the local developer is excavating basements, maybe we'll use some of the fill to start building up the road bed, but otherwise targeting the intersection for same time as Highway 7.
Thank you.
So further to that, they don't predict doing Highway 7 until 2027. And I would think that Perthmore is going to begin construction before that. So if there's no tertiary entrance, then the large trucks and so on would have to go in using the regular streets.
Through the chair, yes, that's correct. And that was the outcome of the OLT process for that subdivision.
Thank you. Going on 11.2, Councillor Byrd.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor McRae. Be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Perth has read the following bylaw a first, second, and third time short, passed and signed by the Mayor and Clerk. 1, a bylaw number 4708-8, amend Climate Change Advisory Panel terms of reference.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, those in favor? No, that's unanimous. No staff reports scheduled, so we'll go ahead with the reports from the committees. First of all is Leonard County. So you may remember that we proposed to have a delegation at Roma on the topic of court security. The discussion was productive, but the Solicitor General felt that this was a matter that should be dealt with locally. So from there, it's gone that Kathy and Michael have a meeting with county staff next week to discuss that. And Ed, do you want to talk about?
Sure, I attended a presentation with the county staff and politicians from the entire county on the medical crisis response team MCERT with the OPP. It's a shared program with the OPP and Leonard County Mental Health. There's mental health nurses and social workers embedded with the OPP officers to respond to mental health calls. Currently, what we get is a thing called the MCERT Enhancement Grant, which is 2 or 3 year grant programs. And what we've asked for is permanent funding for the program. The MCERT team is the second busiest MCERT team in the province of Ontario, the busiest one and the biggest one in Eastern Ontario. And according to the inspector of the OPP, calls for service are rising every year. So one of the problems we face the county is that because it's a grant program, it's on contract. We hire the workers on contract and some of them leave before the contracts are over because they go to full-time jobs somewhere else. So there's more job security. And we met the parliamentary assistant for the Solicitor General during the meeting, and she seemed very open to trying to make it a permanent funding program. So hopefully we'll be successful. Not sure we won't hear for a few months, but hopefully that might work for us.
Yes. I had a hospital board meeting this morning and I brought report about what we had done at Roma, and they were very praiseworthy of the system. So last on that Roma conference, not only was the chair of, or the president of Roma there, Krista Lowry, she's the mayor of Mississippi Mills, but also the president of AMO, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, who happens to be the mayor of Westport, so we're well represented. And she made her concluding remarks on one thing that struck me, the topic that's on everybody's minds and topic of discussion is how chaotic life is. And her strong recommendation was that at the local level, we counter that simply by being kindness toward other people. So the hospital board, so we have the hospital board and the hospital foundation, and the hospital foundation is geared mainly to fundraising. They've already raised an incredible amount to pay for the MRI in Smiths Falls. It's cost us $6.1 million, and they've raised $4.1 million. But we've reached the conclusion that it would be more beneficial if there was a closer alliance between the foundation and the board, and talked about ways that the hospital could become more visible and more active in fundraising. So we'll have a meeting coming up with Kingston Hospital and Foundation, who approaches things that way, and see what we can learn. Climate Change Advisory Panel. Barry, we haven't had a meeting.
There has been no climate change meeting for quite a while, but I'm happy to say that one has been scheduled for, I believe it's near the end of February. So that's a good thing.
Thank you.
Do you want me to go on with the HPAP?
That would be lovely. Thank you.
Rachel Matthews was the special guest. She was introduced by Catherine Jameson. She is an Indigenous collection specialist. And Rachel then proceeded an overview of the project, including a lot of photographs. And that's about it.
Thank you. Okay, Deputy Mayor, OPP.
We had our monthly meeting of the Lanark County OPP Detachment Board. The detachment commander gave us the annual overview of calls for service in Lanark County. One of the questions he received was the presence of OPP officers on the main highways. Highway 7, there's lots of officers on Highway 7 due to some of the issues we've had with Highway 7. The call volume for Eastern Ontario OPP is rising drastically fast for the amount of OPP officers we have in the region. He said a lot of people are complaining about speeders in the area, and he said a lot of the calls the officers are doing are taking 2, 3, and 4 officers at a time. So he says that because the call volume is increasing so much, they have to respond to these emergency calls. They don't have as many officers responding to traffic calls. But he wanted everybody to realize there are a lot of officers out there and they are doing traffic patrol when they're not responding to calls. There's a new program in the Lanark County Detachment. It's one of only 2 in Ontario, and it's called a document recording program. And they've hired civilians now to do a lot of the documentation that the officers used to do. And I think he said there's almost 3,000 more hours of officers on the road because they're not spending so much time in the office. He's very proud of that. And he's hoping that it'll spread across Ontario. They're using it sort of as a trial program. The other thing I'd like to say to council is, I think everybody knows Stephanie Gray, who is now working with the Police Service Board via new employment through the county. During our presentation to the Solicitor General's group, the main contact for municipalities and the person who oversees the grant programs that municipalities received highlighted that Lanark County is, if it's not the most successful county in Ontario for the past 8 or 9 years, it has to be right there at the top. And his comment was, he doesn't know who does all the grant programs for Lanark County, but we should be contracting that person out to all the other municipalities because we'd make a lot of money. And that's Stephanie Gray. And everybody who's had a chance to work with Stephanie knows she spent a lot of her time in policing for the last 10 or 15 years. She's absolutely fabulous. And it seems like almost every grant we apply for, we get. Now, unfortunately, we didn't get a new grant. We missed it by 0.2 points because they changed a little stuff. But anyway, I called Stephanie right after the meeting. I said, just want to let you know, you got a heads up for Solicitor General's ministry, how good a job you're doing. Final thing I'd like to do is I'd like to have Inspector Todress and Stephanie come and just do a quick presentation to council sometime, just so everybody can see. I don't know how many people know Inspector Todress. He's fantastic, and it'd be nice for everybody to get a chance to meet him and say hello to him. And he's quite willing to come here.
Thank you. You were talking about the number of emergencies. The fellow was there who did a presentation about the vehicles that do extrications for accidents, and he put a map up on the board of locations of where accidents were on various roads, and it's incredible how many accidents there are on Highway 7. Striking Committee.
Thank you, Your Worship. The striking committee met today to discuss applications for the Climate Change Advisory Panel. And as a result of that meeting, I'd like to make the following recommendation. As recommended by the striking committee, be it resolved, the Council of the Town of Perth appoint the following citizen members to the Climate Change Advisory Panel until the end of the current council term. Number 1, Suzanne Laperle. Number 2, Jessica Quinnell. And number 3, Michael Deshotel.
Thank you. Any questions? Those in favor? It's carried unanimously. Lanark County Climate Action Working Group, Councillor McRae.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So there were 2 delegations. The first was the Climate Change and Health Vulnerability Adaptation Assessment. And this was given by Danielle Schufelt she's the new municipal liaison for the community health promotion for Southeast Public Health. Their office is in Smith Falls. And she would be really a great speaker for our climate change advisory group. She talked about health risks as they are related to the changes in climate. And the cost to health is estimated somewhere between $2 to $4 billion. There's a greater risk of death, and this is increasing because of increase in Lyme disease, heat-related incidents, either cold or heat, and related incidents to respiratory illnesses. And of course, skin cancer is right up there, melanoma. They actually put together a chart that, identifies the user groups that are affected. I can circulate that if anyone's interested. It's the highest rate of melanoma for the past 10 years. That's how high it's got. Lyme disease has gone from 9.9% per 100,000 people up to 104.1 per 100,000 people. Blue-green algae blooms have tripled over the last 10 years. And the takeaway from this is that we need to be increasing education on sun safety. So we need to ensure we have sun shelters, cold shelters, those types of things. And there's more frequency and increase in warming, worsening chronic diseases. So the impact it has on chronic, and also an increase in our emergency departments, of course, as an offset of this. The age groups that are most affected include infants, young people, of course, our most vulnerable aging population, those that are working outside. So I think of our own municipal employees and those in rural settings. And so there's a need for a strategy to strengthen community resilience and emergency plan in shelters. So the second presentation was given by the Mississippi Madawaska Land Trust overview. That was Stacy Lloyd, the executive director, and they are a trustee or a guardian for 16 different properties designated as carbon sinks. They gave a very compelling presentation, and in fact, their biggest thing is, like many other nonprofit organizations, funding. The third was Elizabeth Bolt, who is our representative at the county level. She gave the 2025 report card and the 2026 action plan for the climate change work group. And they talked about municipal climate grants, which there's 7,500 per municipality available. And I understand we're going to be applying for that, or are in the process of doing that. And people are really taking advantage of the Better Homes Lanark programs. There's a number of them that they shared with us. There's one on planning for home renovations. There's another one, home energy upgrades. There's a variety of different programs that people in our community can take advantage of through the Lanark Climate Work Group. And that's pretty well it for those meetings, that meeting that I participated in.
Okay, thank you. Don't relax too much. You're on next for BIA.
I have nothing at this time to share with you about the BIA. Our meeting's tomorrow morning, and we really didn't, we had the Once Upon a Christmas, and then there really was nothing until after that. So we're just getting started again, and that meeting's tomorrow morning.
What about Chamber of Commerce?
Yes. So the greatest takeaway for Chambers of Commerce right now is they're preparing for the Festival of Maples on April the 25th, 2026. That's the 50th anniversary. And they're in dire straits to secure additional grants because they want to enhance the event that they've been having for year after year. And, want to bring in additional venues and that type of thing. They're hoping to secure up to 200 venues this year. There are just to let you know, there's 18 people sitting on that working committee. 18 people. And I'm no longer looking at after first aid. I passed the torch on to Samantha Wheeler. She's going to be doing that, but I'm coordinating the volunteers. And I need to recruit between 30 to 40 volunteers. So if there's anybody sitting around this table that would like to volunteer for that event, we would appreciate it. And they have also teamed up with the Hospice Hub, and they're running a plaid dance the evening of the Festival of Maples at the Crystal Palace. Okay.
Thank you. And if I could just interject about upcoming events, you will remember that last year we did a multicultural food fair. That's happening again this year on February the 15th. It's the day after the Frost and Fire. Lots of great food. Library Board, Councillor Waterfield.
Yes, Mayor Brown, I did not attend the January meeting of the Library Board as I was at the Roma conference. I would like to remind everybody that tomorrow at 2 p.m. at the library, there will be an open house on the second floor to show off our newly renovated premises up there, and I invite the public to come along to that. Also, I would like to remind everybody that this Friday on January 30th, there will be a fundraising concert at the library in the Library After Dark series with singer-songwriter Susie Ungleiter, a seasoned singer-songwriter. I've heard her live before. You can go to the library website with regards to information about tickets. That's my library report, Mayor Brown.
Okay, RVCA.
Mayor Brown, I'm very pleased to announce that I've been reelected unanimously for a second term as chair of the RVCA for this year. I appreciate the confidence that the board has placed in me. The coming year for the RVCA and indeed all conservation authorities in the province will be a year of change, of challenge, hopefully opportunity. However, in the Rideau Valley, we will be celebrating with pride 60 years of conservation leadership in the Rideau Valley. We will be having celebrations throughout the year, and I will be keeping council informed of those celebrations as they come up. In addition, on December the 11th, I attended a special committee meeting of the Conservation Ontario pertaining to the upcoming legislation. And on December the 10th, I attended a meeting of the Rideau Valley Conservation Foundation in my role as chair to meet with the foundation about upcoming changing legislation in the province. That's my report for the RVCA, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Do you want to let council know of the proposed amalgamation of conservation authorities in Ontario? The numbers?
Could you repeat that, please? I didn't hear it.
The province would like to consolidate the conservation areas in Ontario. There's currently 36.
That's correct. The proposal from the provincial government at the moment is going from 36 to 7. We from the RVCA and other authorities, along with Roma and AMO, have given feedback to the government stating that while we agree in principle with some consolidation, we feel that 7 is far too few a number. And at this point in time, the submissions for various submissions from different interest groups have closed. And at this point, we're in a waiting game to hear back from the province.
Thank you. And the Lanark County Traffic Advisory Working Group.
The Traffic Advisory Working Group met on December the 10th. Basically, we considered a number of speed management requests from different parts of the county at that time.
Thank you. And Councillor McCray, 13.13.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Barry Smith, be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Perth receive the Council Committee, local boards and external reports minutes as presented.
Okay, those in favor? Yeah. We have no new business. Are there any questions from the media? I don't see any media. Going on then, the next meeting date for council is February 24, 2026 at 5:30 p.m. So, Councillor Waterfield, 17.1.
that the council of the town of Perth resolve itself into closed session at 6:19 PM pursuant to the Municipal Act 2001 for the following purpose. Number one, Algonquin College Perth campus property, subject to section 2392. Advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. A position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on behalf of the municipality or local board.
Thank you. Those in favor? And we'll be meeting in the Sunshine Room.
Barry, are you interested in joining the in-camera? Sorry, you're muted still.
You want us to bring you into the in-camera session?
Yes, please.
Okay,
Unfortunately, I'm not going to have any of the agenda up. And there is one section in there, 5 questions that I would love to have in front of me to be able to talk about, but I'll just listen what everybody else says, I guess.
okay, I'm just
Roman.
I'm gonna call your cell phone and we'll just bring you in that way.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so just give us a couple minutes.
Yep.
19.1, please.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Jim Bolt. Be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Perth rise and report from the closed session at 7:50 PM.
Thank you. Those in favor? Carried. So what we did in a closed session, we approved closed session meeting minutes from December the 9th, 2025. And we discussed negotiations and received legal advice subject to solicitor client privilege regarding the Algonquin College Perth campus property. Those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. So now we need the,
So we have the confirmation of proceedings. Counselor, we'll call for Dave here.
Dave, could you read 19.1, please?
Certainly. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Waterfield. Be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Perth passed bylaw number 5247, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Town of Perth at its meeting held 27th of January 2026.
Thank you. Those in favor? That's unanimous. And the motion for adjournment, Councillor Bolt.
The January 2026 council meeting at exactly
7:50. Thank you. Those in favor? Okay.